The Arrive Fact is on tonight. That was Ricky Martin performing at the 2001 inauguration of President Bush the Younger. But this year, many performers are afraid to attend the Trump inauguration. We'll tell you exactly what's going on.
In the phrase, "Make America Great Again," there's one word that if you are a person of color that you sort of stumble over, and it's the word again.
New Year, same old story. The far left branding Donald Trump and his supporters racist. Will this ever stop?
What was the biggest mistake you made in 2016?
Following other people's opinions.
Like when everyone said Hillary was going to win?
That was a big one.
Also ahead, Waters in Times Square asking people about the new year.
It's going to be a beautiful year filled with love and acceptance. I'm sure of it.
Did you read that on a Hallmark card?
Caution, you are about to enter the no spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. First edition of 2017. Happy New Year. Hope it's a good one for you and your family. Donald Trump's inauguration. That's the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. There are wide reports that many entertainers are frightened to perform in the inaugural festivities on January 20th. Hard to pin down, but the roster of performers today is scant. Some of the Rockettes from Radio City Music Hall in New York City will be there. The Mormon Tabernacle Choir out of Utah scheduled to perform. And Jackie Ivanko of America's Got Talent also set to sing. We hear the Beach Boys and the country group Alabama may be appearing, but that has not been confirmed. Also not confirmed are some entertainers who reportedly believe if they show up at the inauguration, it'll hurt their careers. The tenor Andrea Bocelli has been mentioned, along with Garth Brooks, I should say. But again, we cannot confirm the fear element. However, it's obvious there's a problem, and there should not be one. The inauguration of a president celebrates a peaceful transition of power engineered by the American voters. That's what the ceremony is, not a political gesture. So all Americans should respect the process, even if you don't like the incoming president. Should never be intimidation about attending or performing at an inauguration. That is un-American. The election of George W. Bush in 2000 was perhaps the most controversial vote in the nation's history, decided by the Supreme Court. Yet a variety of entertainment showed up at the inauguration, including Ricky Martin, Wayne Newton, Jessica Simpson, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and the Rockettes. Even Beyonce showed up, performing with Destiny's Child at an inaugural concert for America's youth. So even though there was bitterness over the Bush-Gore race, the nation came together at the inauguration. But now that cohesive spirit seems to have changed. The harsh truth is that there is reverse McCarthyism going on in the entertainment industry. Remember that in the 1950s, Wisconsin Senator Joseph McCarthy started accusing people in Hollywood of being communists. That led to a blacklist where people were not hired because McCarthy smeared them. Today, it seems anti-Trump zealots may be doing the same thing. If you're a Trump supporter, you're a bad person. And a number of entertainers believe their careers will be harmed should they associate with the new Trump administration. Again, that is terrible, an awful state of affairs. Talking Points believes enough is enough with the anti-Trump movement. Man won the election, give him a chance. Respect the process and stop the nonsense. And that's a memo. Now to the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from Washington, the New Year's guy, Charles Krauthammer. All right, I have a series of very short questions for you. First of all, do you believe that some, maybe many, entertainers are frightened to go to Washington because they think their careers may be harmed?
I have no idea, and thus far you presented no evidence to that effect.
Well, thus far there are very few booked, and we know that a number of people were asked to appear, but very few have said yes.
That doesn't prove fear. Hollywood is overwhelmingly more than 100% liberal, and it could very well be that these people, for their own political reasons, don't want to perform at a Republican or a Trump inauguration.
Then why did
That's
the George W. Bush inauguration have, you know, a good cross-section of entertainers and not the Donald Trump so far?
Wayne Newton? Is that your A-list?
Ricky Martin? Andrew Lloyd Webber? I mean, pretty big names.
You know, I find it hard to get exercised over the fact that we may be short a Rockette at the inaugural celebration.
You're dodging the question. You don't believe that there's pressure being put upon entertainers not to show up? You don't believe that?
There's a group called Friends of Abe. You know them, I know them. It's a bunch of Hollywood conservatives who meet every once in a while, semi-clandestinely. They won't even publish their membership list because they know that if the word gets out that they are conservatives, it could hurt their careers. That's been true for decades.
Isn't that reverse McCarthyism?
It's deplorable, but it's nothing new. And in fact, it's not only in Hollywood. Why do you have all these conservative think tanks in Washington? The reason is that intellectuals, conservative intellectuals, have not been able to get jobs in elite universities for decades. So they had to establish their own counter institutions, things like the American Enterprise Institute, Heritage Foundation, etc., as an alternative venue.
Okay.
Liberals get control of cultural institutions, and conservatives are shut out.
I think it's far beyond that.
That
I think
is
it's
like
far
the
beyond a
sun
general
rising.
philosophical
That's the sun
difference.
rising in the east.
Okay. You basically have, do you agree with me that an inauguration is a celebration of the peaceful transition of power in the United States? You agree with that?
Yes.
Do you agree that anyone who would hold it against someone who performed at an inauguration is un-American? That's an un-American act. Would you agree?
No, of course not.
You wouldn't.
Look, no, look. So
it's okay to deny somebody a job in Charles Krauthammer's world if they show up at the Trump inauguration. That's okay. To deny somebody a job.
No.
But that's the fear. That's the cloak of fear that we're dealing with now.
But you've shown no evidence.
Oh, stop.
That's
the evidence is there's nobody booked. That's the evidence. There's nobody booked 2 weeks away.
They don't want to play for Donald Trump. This is a republic. You are not summoned to perform for the king or for the dictator. In some places, if Kim Jong-un calls you to sing, you better show up, because otherwise you're not going to make it.
You don't know anything about the Hollywood industry. They'll perform for Joseph Stalin, okay, if they think it's going to help their career, okay? They're afraid. These groups, rock groups, pop groups, even the country people, are afraid that if they do it, that they're going to lose bookings, that they're going to be attacked on the internet, they're going to be smeared all over the place, and so they're not. I can't believe you're denying this. It's so obvious.
I find it extremely hard to get exercised about something, which is that some people will perform for people of whom they have a political affinity. If I were asked to perform at a Clinton inauguration, I could very easily say, yes, I respect the process, and I will do it. That's perfectly fine. Or I could say, no, I think she's a crook. I think she would not be the right choice, and therefore I exercise my right to simply say no.
And that's fine, but you're not in fear of losing your job or a book contract or a speaking engagement. See, I don't mind people exercising the freedom to do what they want to do. I'm telling you that there is very rank fear in the entertainment industry to be associated with President-elect Trump. Last word.
There's been rank fear in Hollywood for decades to be even known as a conservative. You're about 20 years late to the party, Bill. And I don't think the inauguration is sort of this scandalous exception. This has been true forever. There are many places where liberals will not welcome conservatives Hollywood, the university. Those are just a couple of examples. And you live with it the way you live with the weather.
Not me. I think the process should be respected, and anyone invited should show up just to help their country. Anyway, great debate. Really good way to kick off the new year, Charles, and we appreciate it. Next on the rundown already, the Democrats are threatening to delay confirmation some Trump cabinet appointees. We'll tell you about it. And later, waters in Times Square New Year's Eve, not a good recipe. Those reports after these messages. In back segment tonight, two big political stories today. First, Donald Trump continues putting pressure on companies who want to move jobs overseas. In fact, he threatened General Motors for making a car in Mexico. Also, Ford announced it is canceling a $1.6 billion factory it was going to build in Mexico. The other big story politically is Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer threatening President-elect Trump.
We will hold President-elect Trump accountable to the values that truly make America great. But we'll fight him tooth and nail when he appeals to the baser instincts that diminish America and its greatness.
Joining us now from Austin, Texas, Carl Rose. So Senator Schumer wants to hold up, delay a bunch of Trump's cabinet appointees. Is that correct?
Yeah, this was pretty much a boilerplate speech today where he said we're going to define what the values are by which we're going to judge Donald Trump. If we agree with him, we'll help him. If we oppose him and we disagree, we'll oppose him. This was sort of standard stuff. What's more dangerous is that the Democrats have announced that there are 8 appointees, 8 nominees of President-elect Trump to the cabinet that they're going to oppose and delay them as long as till March. Now, this is just obstructionism, pure and simple. This is an attempt to make it difficult for him to put together a government, make it difficult for him to take early actions in some critical departments, and it is an obstructionism that's jaw-dropping, particularly if you look back at the historic record. Here's what happened with President Obama came in. Did the Republicans obstruct? No. Did they ask tough questions? Yes. But think about this. Within 2 days of being sworn into office, 7 of his cabinet members had been approved, 6 of them on voice votes. One of them was approved, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, 94-2. A couple of days later, they approved by voice vote on the 23rd, the Transportation Secretary. On the 26th, Tim Geithner, who had not paid his taxes and had to undergo a rough confirmation fight, he was approved on 60-34. Basically, within 1 week of the president being sworn in, HUD secretary, within 8 days. 10 of the 14 that had to go through confirmation were approved within basically 8 days of the president being sworn in. 2 more were approved in February. One of them was delayed until late February because Hilda Solis, the labor secretary, her husband had not paid taxes. And then we had 2 of them that were completely President Obama's fault. The Commerce Secretary in March, because he went through 2 cabinet secretary nominations that had to be withdrawn before he finally got the 3rd one. And then finally the HHS Secretary, Sebelius. Remember, Tom Daschle had to withdraw himself for not having paid taxes on the 3rd of February. She's nominated and approved of basically 5 weeks.
All right, so, I mean, look, the point is that when President Obama took office, the Republicans didn't try to sabotage him.
Right,
it looks
absolutely.
like Schumer and his crew is going to try to sabotage Trump. The question is, they can't stop these appointments like Sessions as Attorney General, so they just try to embarrass the president and the individual appointee. Just try to embarrass them, right?
Right, exactly, and draw it out so that, look, they don't want the White House to be coming out with a lot of initiatives and moving forward. They want them to, this is like a holding action. While Trump is trying to undo a lot of what Obama did and trying to repeal Obamacare and replace it and trying to get a tax cut through and tax reform, they want him tied down. That's why they're going after people like the Secretary of Treasury nominee, Mnuchin. That's why they're going after the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson. There are a couple that are payback. They're going after Betsy DeVos, the Education Secretary, because the Democratic Party is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the teacher unions, and she is a fighter for school choice.
Sure.
They're going after They're going after Puster.
Right, so it's politics over
yeah,
country.
Politics. Yeah.
Politics.
Absolutely.
Let's get into the, it looks like Trump's going to be the strong man, and he's calling out GM for making a car in Mexico and trying to embarrass them. But, all of a sudden Ford says, you know what, we're not going to build a $1.6 billion plant in Mexico, and we're going to build it in the USA and all the jobs that come along with it. So it looks like being a strong man is working for Trump, at least in the beginning.
Well, maybe, except that, I accept that the Ford CEO today in a statement saying, look, we made this decision because it's in the best interest of our company. The facility in Mexico is unneeded. We're going to keep the small car production there, but we aren't selling enough of those cars, so we're not going to expand it. And we need to expand production in the U.S. of kinds of cars that Americans are buying.
Yeah.
But we got to be careful about this. GM, let's think about this. The implication is you're building a bunch of cars in Mexico and shipping them into the United States. That is fundamentally not true. In Lordstown, Ohio, there's a facility that since 2010, since being opened then, has made 1.3 million Chevy Cruzes. And in the United States, 1.1 million roughly have been bought. The other 200,000 were sold elsewhere, primarily in Canada. The facility in Mexico supplies the foreign market. We've had about 1.1 million U.S. purchases of Chevy Cruzes.
So what?
There have been 1.3 million.
The foreign market can be supplied in Michigan. So what?
Well, maybe, but look, a couple of things. Mexico
I don't have
has
a lot
better
of time.
trade.
Wrap it up.
Mexico has better trade agreements with other countries than we do, and we can make that product in Mexico and sell it and bring the profits back to the U.S. when we couldn't make that product
doesn't
at
help
the
the
same price
guys
here.
that putting the tires on a car, Mr. Rowe. As long as the strongman stuff doesn't get out of control, I think it's a good technique.
I think it's getting very close to it.
All right, directly ahead. Will the far left ever stop demonizing Trump supporters as racist? Personal story segment tonight, almost from the beginning of Donald Trump's campaign for the presidency. The far left has been demonizing him and his supporters as racist.
In the phrase "Make America Great Again," there's one word that if you are a person of color that you sort of stumble over, and it's the word again, because you're talking about going back to a time that was not very comfortable for people of color.
Joining us now from Washington, Lisa Booth and Juan Williams. So I don't think the racism play, Juan, is ever going to stop. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think you're right on target. I think, to me, it's almost like, why am I arguing here about Make America Great Again? This is small potatoes. It's like evidence of sort of liberal or left-wing oversensitivity to my mind. But, if you want to make the case, I guess you could say Trump has a history, discrimination in the housing that he built, saying blacks are responsible for most of the white murders and it's crazy stuff. But again, to me, it's just evidence of people who constantly bring up the race stuff rather than argue about his policy.
Look, what do you think, Juan, the phrase "Make America Great Again" refers to? What?
Well, I think, what it struck me when I first heard it was "Make America Great Again." But I guess he's talking about Obama, so I was thinking about the politics of it, that he doesn't like Obama policies.
No.
But I
Make
heard
America Great Again.
Bill Clinton said it was a way of wink and a nod, a dog whistle to white Southerners.
So what do we care
Bill?
what Bill Clinton says? He's campaigning for his wife. What do you think "Make America Great Again" refers to, Lisa? What?
Well, I think it refers to what Reagan had said when he used the slogan of restoring the American dream,
Very
rebuilding
good. Lisa
America.
Booth, everyone. It's the
Bill,
Reagan years. It's when America was dominant in foreign policy, exercised its superpower status. That wasn't a racist era, Juan.
But I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this, though, because Juan had mentioned the fact that Bill Clinton was saying that the slogan was a racist dog whistle. Guess who used the slogan repeatedly when he ran for president in 1992? President Bill Clinton. So that is just how ridiculous the left is. The fact that President Bill Clinton is using this slogan to malign Donald Trump when he used it himself.
Okay,
and you're right.
I mean,
the
look,
left
if we're
is
going to
never
run
going to go
down
back.
all the hypocrisy.
Here's my argument with Lisa. I think,
Go
Lisa,
for
you
it.
got to realize that when Bill Clinton said, he didn't say again and again and again. And, to me, America
please.
is great.
Oh, my gosh.
I
Juan,
think America.
get out of here.
No, hold on. I think
come on.
America is a great country right now. I look at the stock market. I look at gas price, like unemployment. I look at the opportunities for blacks, Latinos, immigrants, women, Lisa. more than ever in our history.
All right, this
Well,
lady.
you know what?
Wait. This lady from NPR said this soundbite on CBS is basically saying, look, America is a racist nation. Yes, we may have made some improvements, as you just pointed out. But if you say make America great again, anything that happened in America, anything, defeating the Axis powers, Japan, you can't say that was great because people of color are getting hammered, which is partially true, by the way.
Wait. How is that true? Wait a minute. How is that true?
No, this is absolutely utterly ridiculous. And Juan, to your earlier point, the reality is that when Donald Trump was running for president, you had the majority of Americans who felt that this country was on the wrong track. You have the majority of Americans who felt like their children or grandchildren were going to inherit a nation that was less off than the one that they have had and the one that they've enjoyed. That is what Donald Trump meant by "Make America Great Again." Let's make America strong again. Let's rebuild the country economically.
Lisa, you go back to when George W. Bush won in 2004. A majority of Americans thought the country was headed in the wrong direction. That's not the measure. I think that America's great when it defeats the Nazis, the Axis, as Bill O'Reilly just said.
I think America is great when the country's higher than...
I don't think that means that you can't also be fighting what the civil rights movement at the time called a double V, victory abroad and victory at home over racism and discrimination.
Right, but you can't,
as
that woman implied, Juan, you can't say that America, if you say make America great again, it goes back to the 80s. That's the vision of the Trump people, okay? But you can't do it because there was inequality in certain times. America was great in freeing the world from Hitler and Tojo. However, back home, things weren't that great for minorities. But you have to put everything into perspective. And that woman doesn't. She condemns her country, and I didn't like it. All right, good debate.
Well, I see that, but I just ask you to realize that people who are black, Latinos, given what he said about immigrants, a lot of sensitivity. That's why
America's great when it's growing at higher than 3% economic growth.
You guys continue among yourselves. We have to take a break. Plenty more ahead. As a factor moves along this evening. Gutfeld McGurk on how racial politics are hurting the USA. And later, Waters in Times Square on New Year's Eve.
What is the biggest mistake that you made in 2016?
Not watching you on TV enough.
Best answer I heard all day.
And we hope you stay tuned for those reports. What the heck just happened segment tonight, as you just heard, there's no let up in playing the race card by the far left. Question, are Americans growing numb to it? Or will it get worse in 2017? And here they are, New Year's guys, Bernard McGurk and Greg Gutfeld. I'm so tired of this, Gutfeld. I really am. I mean, I take it personally. I'm not a Trump supporter per se. Never endorsed him or anything like that. I think I gave him a fair shot on a program. But the interviews were tough, as many people pointed out. However, I know a lot of people who supported Donald Trump. McGurk's one of them. Okay?
Absolutely.
And I'm supposed to sit here and allow them to be called racist?
Yes, because they are. No, you know what it is? Liking Donald Trump is the not liking Obama of 2016. So remember, if you didn't like Obama, you were racist. Now, if you like Trump, you are racist. Imagine.
So you're double racist.
You're you're racist cubed. Imagine, there's a left-wing superhero. It's called Race Man, and the only power it has is to throw accusations of bigotry at you.
Right.
The great thing about 2016 is the kryptonite. It took away the power from Race Man, and that's why they're imploding everywhere, because the more the boy cried wolf.
Do you really think they're imploding, though?
Every time you employ mockery against somebody calling you a racist, they fail, and you create three new Trump supporters.
What do you say?
Well, he's absolutely right about that. It's overused. The accusation of leveling that accusation is so overused. Look, they had Ellen DeGeneres was a racist in 2016. I mean,
for the Usain Bolt thing, where she did a cute cartoon.
It's the last refuge, really, of a skunk with no argument, essentially. And yeah, they want to level it against Donald Trump because he won. They're frustrated. They want to keep it up. So I don't think it's going to stick. I mean, again.
But they're not going to stop.
They're not going to stop, but he can chip away at it slowly. I mean, but look, you had Jim Brown over at the Trump Tower talking nice about Donald Trump. I understand Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to go to the inauguration.
That's what I hear.
So slowly, and if he improves the economy in the inner cities, they can chip away at it, but they'll always use it. They used it against Bush, who was a compassionate conservative. They had George Bush, 43, dragging black people behind in chains behind a pickup truck, if you remember that. So it's a playbook that they always go back to. but one that people are seeing through and are sick and tired of.
Per se to our interview with Krauthammer, top program, this plays into the difficulty of booking inaugural talent because these entertainers, not the brightest people, many of them in the world, say, gee, you know, the blacks aren't going to like me if I show up, or maybe the Hispanics aren't going to like me. So I got to sit this one out because there's all of that swirl.
It's not about that. It's about their peers. They're actually being punished by the people that they compete against. So if a musician says they're going to go on, then a comedian goes on Twitter and says you're a racist. So it's more about it's more about they're being intimidated by the people in their own profession. Most people don't give a damn.
I mean, look, a guy like Andrea Bocelli, and the Trump campaign says it didn't, you know, invite him, but
right. Meanwhile, he's a disabled immigrant. But anyway,
right. But it looks like there's some truth to the fact that Mr. Bocelli is frightened.
Yeah,
he's frightened because he's a friend of Trump. Why wouldn't he go sing a couple of songs?
Nobody wants to be accused of that. You're absolutely right about that. It's such an onerous accusation to have slapped against you. But again, and the reason why they hate Trump so much is that he's unbowed by it. He's not cowed by it. He just fights back. He doubles down, and that's why they really hate Donald Trump.
It's not working. I will see that point.
I'm happy to perform there. By the way, I've offered.
What would you exactly do?
I'm a plate spinner.
Oh, is that right?
It's amazing. I can spin plates with every part of my body.
I heard that. I heard, and we really don't want that image ingrained.
Yes.
I heard that you're going to bring back Topo Gigio.
Yes, I am.
Like
I don't know
the
what
little Italian mouse.
Oh, yes, he's quite adorable. Yes, you know, I hide him.
This is how Trump can actually curb the hate. He can transition to a woman. I think that will just solve everything.
You mean he could become a woman?
Donna Trump. He would break glass ceilings. Donna Trump. He looked damn good in a dress. I mean, you know, use the Stairmaster a little bit.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But I mean, it's possible. It's another way to chip away.
It's not possible.
Stupid, frivolous charges of racism all the time.
All right, let's end on that note. It's not possible. When we come right back, new survey says there are more conservatives in America than liberals, but the trends are changing. The water's going wild on New Year's Eve. Up ahead. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Unresolved Problem segment tonight, Ideology. According to a Gallup survey, 36% of the American adult population now describe themselves as conservative. 25% said they are liberal. 34% moderate. 5 years ago, the number was 40% conservative, 21% liberal, 35% moderate. So the left is gaining. Question is why? Joining us now from Seattle, conservative radio talk show host Michael Medved, author of the new book, The American Miracle. So Michael, are you surprised that the liberal trend is on the rise, and why do you think it's going on?
Well, I don't think it's going up very much. Mostly it's on the rise among Democrats. In other words, what's happened is people who are moderate have left the Democratic Party and have gone over to the Republican Party or to no identification. And what you really are seeing is more and more Democrats who are now okay with gay marriage, are now okay with legalized marijuana, are now okay with transgendered issues, and now okay with abortion on demand. So all of a sudden the word liberal doesn't have that stigma that it once did. But let's be clear, 75% of the American electorate, even according to the new Gallup poll, are not liberal. They are moderate or conservative.
But a four-point rise in the liberal identification, as opposed to a 4-point drop in conservative, tells me, and this is why I think it's happening, that the media, which is more unrelentingly liberal today than it was 5 years ago, it's really everywhere. Entertainment, news, even sports, Right. That the media moving left and promoting the left point of view, that's why the dial's moving, I think.
But it's always been that way. I mean,
but not as overt as it is now.
I would suggest that every bit as overt as it is now. I mean, the media, for instance, in terms of the gay rights agenda, has been very, very energetic on that issue for many, many years. The point about this is that the solid base of conservatism has not been dented or damaged. In the last two elections, the exit polls showed that 34% and 35% of Americans described themselves as conservative. It's still an 11-point gain on liberals. And here's the key thing. Liberals cannot win without winning overwhelming percentages of moderates. And the more and more the Democratic Party goes over to the extreme left that you're talking about, the tougher time they're going to have winning those moderates that they need to win. Conservatives can win, as Trump did, without winning moderates, but Trump came closer among moderates than Romney
right, it's
did.
a good point that in order to regain power, because you know that the senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, is going to run for president. She's already, building a base. Bernie, I don't think he's going to do it again, but she will. All right, but there's no outreach to moderates from Elizabeth Warren. It's like Wall Street's evil. Everybody who supports Trump is a racist, as we just talked about. There's no outreach. So you're right. It's going to be very hard for her to get traction. But I do believe that there's a sensibility, and you see it in the marijuana thing in your state. Yeah. All right, you see that. That
sure.
15 years ago, most Americans were against marijuana. But now it's been glorified by the media and accepted by the media. So the kids, the younger people, go, yeah, there's nothing wrong with marijuana. Meantime, we have a study out of Colorado that says if you smoke marijuana every day, you're going to be in serious physical trouble. That just came out. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But the point is that Donald Trump cuts beyond all of this. And you may have noticed he does not wrap himself in the term conservative. Donald Trump is about winning. He's about pragmatism. Right. He's about results. And all of this is going to matter. How many people in Gallup say I'm liberal, whatever that means, how many people say I'm conservative, how many people say I'm moderate. What's going to matter is if Trump convinces Americans that the country is moving in the right direction.
Well, and that's all economics. But you have to see that his appointments, cabinet appointments, have been conservative, and he will appoint a conservative Supreme Court justice nominee. So while he doesn't,
will absolutely.
Yeah, well, he doesn't describe himself that way. All his actions are tailored to the right. Now, I want you to tell everybody why they should buy your book, American Miracle. What's the miracle?
The miracle is the mere existence of this country and the fact that a group of very struggling, straggling colonies ended up being the dominant nation in the world. And it's no accident. The subtitle of the book is Divine Providence in the Rise of the Republic, and that America is the product not of random evolution or a series of accidents or a series of happy accidents. America is the product of a plan. All our founders, all of our leaders, including Jackson and Lincoln, Reagan, and even Barack Obama, have conceded there is some kind of higher power guiding American destiny. I love the quote by Bismarck. He says, I know that God grants special protection for imbeciles, lost children, drunkards, and the United States of America.
Wow.
May that continue.
I don't know if that's good company, but it's a good quote. Michael, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Water's on deck. He's roaming around Times Square on New Year's Eve. You can watch what happened next. Back in the book segment tonight, Waters' World. As you may know, Jesse Waters is working on New Year's Eve. Not exactly sure what he was doing in Times Square, but he was there. And he did double duty for us.
Where are you from?
Wales in the UK.
You're Welsh.
I'm Welsh, yeah.
So am I. Brother from another mother.
No.
What was the biggest mistake you made in 2016?
Following other people's opinions.
Like when everyone said Hillary was going to win? What is the biggest mistake that you made in 2016?
Not watching you on TV enough.
Best answer I heard all day. Who are you going to kiss at midnight?
Might be you, so watch out.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There you go.
Oh. Who are you going to kiss when the ball drops?
Got any suggestions?
God, I've never felt so alive.
So what do you think is going to happen in 2017?
I would say a comet hits here.
Can it hit the Iranians?
I don't know, can it? What is that? I don't even know what that is.
This is a practical joke, right, Brian? Alien invasion for sure.
We already had the aliens invade. Have you ever seen James Carville?
An x-ray of my skeleton looks just like me.
What do you think is going to happen in 2017?
World peace.
It's going to be a beautiful year filled with love and acceptance. I'm sure of it.
Did you read that on a Hallmark card?
I'm looking forward to traveling more and maybe having a baby.
Name the baby Jesse. It's a good name.
He kind of looks like a baby.
Good vibes, happiness, and qu'est-ce que tu penses que ça va se passer en 2017?
Wait. Is that French?
Yes.
We don't speak French in Water's World. What do you think is going to happen in 2017?
I'm going to meet the love of my life.
Maybe he's here tonight.
Maybe he could be. You never know.
Not necessarily.
Which celebrity is going to melt down next year?
Probably Zac Efron.
Why do you say that?
I think it's his time.
What? Yes!
Which celebrity do you think is going to have a major meltdown in 2017?
Mariah Carey.
How do you think Donald Trump is going to handle 2017?
I'm hopeful that he's able to bring people together in the end.
Hopefully he gets impeached.
But the Democrats don't have the House.
We have to support our president, whether or not we voted for him.
What do you think is going to happen to Bill O'Reilly in 2017?
Let's all hope Bill's okay. We always hope Bill's okay.
Have you read any of Bill O'Reilly's books?
Killing Lincoln, I think. I read part of it.
What happens at the end?
Well, I didn't read the end.
Anything you want to tell Bill O'Reilly for the new year?
Who are Bill and Reilly?
Bill O'Reilly.
Exactly.
Check, please.
So as what is the lady predicted Mariah Carey meltdown?
She nailed it.
And it was what, 8 hours before the fact?
Pretty
right?
much, yeah.
Were you there or did you see Mariah?
No, I was home at that point.
You were home?
I was off at 10, so I had to get
out of here
for the ball to
right.
drop.
You had a curfew.
Yeah, I did have a curfew after what happened last year.
Yeah. Most people seemed optimistic. That's good, right?
Yeah, some of them seemed optimistic. A lot of them were upset because they'd been standing in the freezing cold since 9 a.m. with no food and no restrooms. Well, but I think they perked up when they saw me, obviously.
Number one, it wasn't freezing. It was 45 degrees at midnight. So
you know what I mean by cold, Bill?
No, I don't. And number two, you're in Times Square, so there are restaurants around. You can get some food.
No, they were ordering pizza delivery. Domino's was coming.
Because the police wouldn't let you in and out?
Once you're in, you're in.
You're in.
You've never done Times Square?
I'm afraid. It frightened me. When I saw Mariah Carey, I was terrified.
You should have.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen.
I think she was just as terrified.
You know, I don't know whether she knew where she was. I mean, did you see all
maybe she was part of the alien invasion.
See, that's right. A couple of people feel that there's going to be an alien invasion.
That's right.
It's what makes America a great place. All right, Waters, and I want to remind everybody that Waters, in 10 days, will make his debut in the Spin Stops Here live show with Dennis Miller and myself. That will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. How lucky can you guys get? At the BOK Center, January 13th. Also, a few tickets remain for the shows in Omaha, Nebraska, Tacoma, Washington, later on in March. Check it all out on BillO'Reilly.com. Back to tip of the day, a resolution that you have to hear. The tip, moments away as the factor continues all across the USA and all around the world. Factor tip of the day, a New Year's resolution that should be important to you. But first, we received some very good news on January 1st. Factor once again ruled the cable TV landscape, a dominant #1 across the board in 2016, and we thank you all for that. Also, Killing the Rising Sun, the #1 adult hardback book of the year by a wide margin. That counts fiction as well. So we're very pleased, and we understand it's all because of you guys. Now the mail. Akira Yamamoto, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. I'm tired of meaningless news and tweets from both the far left and the far right. Bill, where do you suggest we get our news? Tough one, Akira. The Wall Street Journal shoots pretty straight most of the time. The Economist magazine is left editorially, but its hard news coverage is pretty accurate. Investors Business Daily tells the truth. On TV, it's dicey everywhere, but the 60 Minutes crew works hard to be accurate. Not an easy thing to find fair and balanced news. I mean, you know, that's our slogan here, and I think that Fox News tries hard to provide that, but it's difficult. Mark Campbell, Mason, Ohio. Bill, I have to call you out for failing to point out issues with Common Core and the avalanche of lies used to support global warming. Two of my least favorite subjects, Mark. Common Core is a local educational issue, one I can't possibly define with any accuracy. Global warming is real, but no one knows whether it's a natural cycle situation, man-made, or a combination of both. I always say that a clean planet is best. We should all work toward that and stop the political garbage. Greg Russell, Bullhead City, Arizona. Someone needs to tell Donald Trump to stop being a battlelogist, meaning a person who repeats words. Battlelogist. I've never used that because I can barely say it. All right? Person who overuses certain words. But it's worked for Mr. Trump, hasn't it? His message got through. Larry Lefevre, Bellevue, Washington, as a retired military officer who knew many of the players in Killing the Rising Sun. I was impressed by the accuracy of the book. Well, I appreciate that, Larry. Edward Fellows, Ellenton, Florida. Being a new BillO'Reilly.com premium member, I chose Killing the Rising Sun as my free book. I did not want it to end. Werner Lowenberg, Tegucigalpa, Honduras. O'Reilly referred to Angela Merkel as Prime Minister. Her correct title is Chancellor of Germany. I misspoke, Werner. Nice pickup by you. When I said it, I even knew, and then I corrected it later, but I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't make those kinds of mistakes. And finally tonight, a New Year's resolution that you should hear. There's no question that Social Security payments are going to have to change in the next few years. Government running out of money to pay its obligations. And modifications are going to be made. That means that many of us will get less money from the government, even though we paid into the Social Security fund for decades. Our expectations will not be met by the feds in the future. So here's a resolution. Starting today, save as much money as you possibly can. You have to do it methodically. Start off with putting 5% of your net income every month in the bank. I know you're not getting a lot of interest, but just put it there. Then get it up to 10% if you can. I know it's difficult, but if you do it, you'll be much better off in the future. Protect yourself. Put the money away. That Social Security thing is coming. Factor tip of the day. That is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, different from BillO'Reilly.com. Also, we'd like you to spout off about Factor from anywhere in the world. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com, O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. Name and town if you wish to opine. Word of the day, do not be banal when writing to the Factor. Now, tomorrow, we're going to get into Chicago and San Francisco. Murder rate in Chicago is scandalous. Nobody doing anything about it. San Francisco, it's property crime. Crazy. We're going to tell you why it's happening. Again, thanks for watching us tonight. I am Bill O'Reilly. Please always remember, the spin stops here. We're definitely looking out for you.